Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of Fabricated by Chris. I am extremely excited because for the longest time I have wanted an old cabover truck, and it just so happens that I found one for sale and it actually ran, it was drivable. The guy drove it to Moab, Utah. We were out there rock crawling and I happened to see it. He literally got there the day that we got there, and basically I purchased it while I was out there. So I'm excited for this because while it's an older truck and it's international, I'm super excited about getting to restore this and make new parts for this. Now, if you're a purist, this is probably not the video for you. I kind of want to do like a little retro mod on this, kind of do some new billet parts, just some custom stuff. The primary goal for this is going to be a toy hauler. So I bought the tractor and trailer, so we'll be using that like a living quarters in the front, and just the hauler, and then for the back of it. So yeah, I'm super excited. So I'm gonna pull it in, let you take a look at it, and give you kind of a walk around, and we'll go from there. There you have it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this has no power steering, and it is definitely a workout. So for some of you old school truckers that are used to driving these, and you have kind of the tricks of the trade on how to steer this joker, other than the obvious of get some forward momentum, or reverse, get it moving to make it turning, I would gladly entertain the thoughts of trying to figure out how to steer it better, or even upgrade the steering to power steering. So this has a 290 Cummins. I was told it was a big cam 290, but it isn't. It's a small cam. It does have the Eaton Fuller 13 speed, so that's pretty cool. And then it's just the regular international rear ends. So, but for the most part, everything works. I got a little air leak, which I'll go kind of over that, and I'll show you how I'm going to tackle this project and all of the little things that I want to fix. So hang tight. I'm going to kind of give you a walk around, and we'll go from there. So this is my 1977 International 4070B. And funny story is, I bought this in Moab, Utah. We got there on a Sunday. It's like Sunday night, and on our way to our BRB or VBRB or whatever they call it, I happened to see this and a trailer on the road for sale. And so I told my wife, I'm like, hey, look, there's a cabover for sale. And she's like, keep driving, Chris. I'm like, what? So I kept driving, and I drove past it for 3 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, when we were on the way to go rock crawling, I couldn't stand it anymore. I was like, I have got to at least pull over and see what they want for it. And so I did, and
sure enough, I pulled up, and on the window, I believe it was the other window over here, it was the phone number with the exact same area code that I had. And I was like, wait, what? What's going on here? So I called the guy, met the guy, talked to him, and I was like, explain this phone number. He said, well, I used to live in Mississippi. We're from Mississippi. And I literally just moved here. Holy cow, that's crazy. So as I told my wife, that was a sign that the truck needed to come back home. At least that was my excuse. So I ended up buying it. So, but the reason I drove it from Colorado home was because he didn't really care for Moab, and he wanted to go back to Colorado because he had come through there and stayed in some place, and he really liked it there. So he went back there, and I came back and got it in a couple weeks. So, but onto the truck. So for the most part, it's running and driving. So I think he had made a 2,300 mile trip with it, and I basically did the same thing. It's definitely not perfect. You know, it's got things like that, and you can tell this is cracked here, and it's like, you can't even really explain that. It's kind of hard to see, but this whole piece is completely cracked and broken, and then we had the same thing here. So it definitely needs a little TLC, but after driving it for 2,000 miles, I love this thing. And quite honestly, I was doing about 550 miles a day, 600 miles a day, and then I would, get a hotel room because the alternator wouldn't charge, so I'd have to charge the batteries at night. So, it's got a 290 small cam Cummins in it. He told me it was a big cam, but it's a small cam. But it does have a 13-speed Eaton transmission. Does have the wet kit, and this is the oil tank for the wet kit. I don't know that I'll ever use that. It was stretched 3 feet, so this is where they cut it, and I guess they added this frame from another model, maybe. Not 100% sure. The rear ends are actual International Harvester rear ends, so at least that one is. I'm assuming the other one is too, but for the most part it's in really good shape. It does have an oil leak, and it's leaking from this container, and you can kind of see on the floor, like right there and there, and then it might be leaking from the I think it is also leaking from the gear shifter. You can see all this oil here. When I was driving it, that was wet, and I couldn't get it to stop leaking. And then where the shifter hoses go into, there's a little block underneath this. It's leaking air, so I've got to get that fixed. Another thing too is you can see that char mark right here. It's got an exhaust leak, so I've got to get that taken care of. So funny story with the cab jack. I had been trying to get the cab jack to jack the cab up from, when I first got it back. Long story short, he either took this off, replaced it, or got new. I don't know what he did, but when he hooked it back up, he hooked the hoses backwards, so it was pulling instead of pushing. Once I swapped that around, the cab jack's just fine. Let's see. Like I said, the alternator doesn't charge, so I've got to get that fixed. Everything looks pretty good. I mean, there's little spots like this that I'm gonna fix, and I'll show y'all exactly how I fix stuff like this. Everything that I fix, like these crazy holes here, everything I fix, I'll post like a timestamp of how much time it took me and how I fixed it. So some of the things I'd like to do, I'm assuming this door is for adding coolant to the radiator. I haven't even opened it yet. Some of the things that I'd like to do, I've kind of debated about getting rid of these and just making it smooth right there. Undecided right now. This is kind of beat up, so I'm thinking about making like a billet piece that'll fit here with International on it. I don't know if I want to keep the sharp corner and do kind of a rounded corner here and here, just to kind of change it up a little bit. And again, if you're a purist, this is probably not the build for you, because I want to do kind of a retro mod type setup where I customize a lot of stuff and just make it my own, because this is mine. I'm not a truck driver. This won't be a working truck. I just want to restore it. I'm going to use the trailer as a toy hauler to haul our rock crawlers and do a living quarter in the front of the trailer. It's a 48-foot box trailer. So I'm gonna lean on a lot of the guys that have more experience, especially the OG guys that actually drove these trucks back in the day, and some of the new guys that are drivers and actually work on these things, or even not even necessarily the cabover, but just work on these tractors anyway. Because to me, like all these cables, and I know that with a blowout on a steer axle is pretty devastating for a cabover, but like, do I really want this stuff to get all ripped out? So part of me wants to reroute some of this stuff just to get protected. So there's a lot to do on it. Let me show you the inside. For the most part, it's pretty good. I mean, there's little dings and a little rut right here, but for the most part, I can fix all that. I'll show y'all how I do it. One thing I'd really like to do is, now with the hot rods and stuff, they take these vent windows out and they'll get a piece of glass cut that fits that shape, and so it's just a solid glass. I would love to do that, and I'm thinking very serious about doing that. The other thing I'm thinking about doing is getting rid of the crank and putting like an electric window crank on it. So, because I could technically wire it over to the panel over here and have kind of a center console window up and down, basically like the new JK Jeeps do. Theirs is in the dash, so that's a plausible scenario there. But for the most part, the interior is not in bad shape. There's got to be a lot done to it, but that's in due time. So there's always time for some of that stuff. The guy that I bought it from was taking this off to redo the gauges, and he just didn't do it. And so let me tell you, that whole dash rattled for 2,000 miles. So it was, but I grew to love it just because it was mine, and that joker sounded good too. So originally when I wanted a cab over, I wanted like a square, like K100 or Peterbilt, or, you know, one of like the Freightliner, or even one of these internationals that were more square. But I found this one and I kind of fell in love with it unexpectedly. I was not thinking that I would like it as much as I do, and holy cow, I love this thing. So there's a lot to play with here, because, you know, I've got a 15-foot shoe, right? I'm sorry, a 15-inch shoe. So I'm thinking I've got room behind here, I believe, to make this well deeper, and then maybe extend this by an inch just to make a larger footprint, so that when I'm getting in and out of it, and, you know, I can make all this. These are in good shape, but just me being me, I want to customize that, and I want it to really bling. So a couple other things too is, like, I noticed this square right here, so it makes me wonder if the lights that originally went there, if they were square, and they probably were. They may have been something kind of like this. So these pieces right here are fiberglass. I figured that out just doing a little research, and 100%, I knew nothing about these trucks when I bought it. After I bought it, then I started doing research on it. These are fiberglass, and I may just remake these in aluminum. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, you know, like this grill is garbage now because it's been fixed and welded on so many times. So I'll end up doing something kind of custom here. I do like this screen here, but, you know, I'll have to do something with that all the way down. So also, this seems to be, I think it's like a Peterbilt bumper. Some of you guys that y'all will know what actually that bumper is. So definitely let me know in the comments. And I like the large face on it, but I think what I may do is kind of change or make a new one that is kind of like, I've seen several pictures and videos where there's a large bumper like this, but it has a miter cut, 2 miter cuts like this. So I'll try to kind of replicate that to kind of go with the old school look of the truck. But again, I mean, those big wide bumpers, they just, oh man, they just look good. Of course, I'm gonna get rid of this, and I may very well put lights in the bumper as well, because these lights, even though they're LED, they just do not work very well. They may be pointed wrong. So I couldn't drive this at night because the lights were very the guy I bought it from, he said, yeah man, I had guys, they're super bright, and I had people flashing me, and after I started to, or I tried to drive this at night and you couldn't see the ground, I said, yeah buddy, they may have been flashing you not because you're blinding them, but because those lights were shining everywhere but the ground. So I don't know, but here she is, and Peterbilt. I really want to do some new fenders, custom fenders on the back, paint the frame. So I'm looking to hear some of the comments and suggestions that y'all may have. I don't know if I said this, but it does have a wet kit, and this is the tank for it. I don't know that I'll keep that, but we'll see. So, all right guys, so here's basically just a spitball list of kind of how I'm going to tackle this. I just created a list of things right off the top of my head that I wanted to do. And this list will grow and shrink. And
the one thing that's very important on situations like this is you'll end up losing motivation when you're doing projects like this because they're so long, and not everybody has the discipline to do that. You know, even some of the projects that I do personally, I'll lose interest in it because either various reasons. So one thing that every project that I've ever made lists and to-do lists for, you typically always finish. And so this is just, you know, things that I spitballed like right off the top of my head. I wrote down a list, and as I finish items, I will either like flip this board on the back and put finished items there so that I can like visually see like, oh man, I got this project part done. And you really get motivated when your finish list is longer than your to-do list. So again, this is just kind of how I'm going to tackle it. And what I'm going to do for y'all is for every part that I decide to tackle, because, you know, it's kind of like, you know, how do you eat a whale? You one bite at a time. And so each part that I decide to tackle, I'm going to keep up with the exact amount of time. I'm going to show y'all how I designed the replacement, and you'll see the CAD work and the machine work. So I'll provide all of that and in the notes or in the video or at the end of the video, so you know exactly how much time I had for each section. So I'd love to hear kind of what some of the experienced truckers would start with. The nice part about doing it like this is, let's just say I only have 30 minutes to work on it. You know, I could pick something easy. Let's just say I have a weekend that I can do something, then I can pick one of the more time-consuming parts of it. So that's kind of how I'm going to tackle this, and hopefully y'all will be along for the ride, because I'm going to share all of the do's and don'ts that I've learned from this, and especially the help that the community provides. There's a lot of y'all that have restored, maybe not this particular truck, but cabovers or, you know, long nose. So I would definitely love to hear some recommendations from some of y'all, because again, this is my first one. I've done cars before, but I've never done a cabover, so I'm super excited to do this. So look forward to it.